There's a version of this story where you come home to the same person you left, and there's a version where you don't. And I found out which one I got the hard way. I've worked on cruise ships for 4 years, 8 contracts in total. And during that time, I had a relationship that lasted over a year. And we only saw each other in person once during that year. And the rest was long distance because we were both working on cruise ships. And honestly, it surprised me. I didn't think it would last past a couple of months. And so if you're a musician thinking of working on cruise ships and wondering about your own relationships, if you've already lived through this, or if you're just curious whether it's even possible, you're in the right place. And this isn't only a ship thing either. Any relationship facing real distance deals with the same test. So in this video, I'm getting into whether this is actually possible, what a relationship actually needs to survive this, and I'll share my own story along the way. Before we get into this, if you are thinking of working on cruise ships as a musician, do not hesitate to have a look at the free self-check quiz I made specifically for knowing whether this is the right path for you. It's right here in the description, and you can pause the video, get it, and come back. Let's talk for a second about why long-distance relationships are hard in general, even independently of working on cruise ships. When you're in a long-distance relationship, you do not see the person every day, and so the kind of dopamine hit that you get from seeing a person, from even having them around you physically, from talking to them, seeing them in real life is not there. The only shared reality that you have with this person is behind a screen, and so your brain even stops registering that person as part of your daily life. So independently of how much you actually want to be with that person, it is really challenging to stay with someone without seeing them physically. Now, the reason why it's even harder on cruise ships is that ships are really another world. It's like another planet, and it can feel really lonely to have a contract on cruise ships. You're very disconnected from reality, from anything that's happening on land. It's like an independent little world. It's also quite hard because you tend to see friendships or people who are hanging out together on the ship, and if you don't have that kind of closeness with people, whether on a friends level or on a love relationships level, it can feel really lonely, independently from the fact that at home you might have a girlfriend or you might have friends. To illustrate what I'm talking about here, it happens all the time that on cruise ships there are men who arrive and take their ring off and pretend they don't have a wife. So many people are actually lying about the life that they have on land because they want to have all the options on the ship. For example, I'm someone who really enjoys spending time alone, and I tend to do a lot of personal self-development work continuously on myself, and I've been doing that for 10 years. But every single time I had a contract on cruise ships, I felt a crazy loneliness, like I just needed to hang out with someone, to either have very, very close friends or to have a romantic thing with someone. And so that makes it really, really difficult if you're in a relationship. Now, about my own experience of having a long distance relationship as I was working on cruise ships, let me tell you a little bit about it. I met this guy on a ship. We stayed around 3 weeks together on the ship before it was the end of my contract. But keep in mind that 3 weeks on a ship is like 3 months on land, because you're seeing each other every day, and because, as I just explained, the cruise ship world is really, really intense. And so after I left the contract, we decided to stay together because we had the same vision for the future. And I'll talk about it in a minute, but that's really the most important thing about staying with someone when you're working on a cruise ship, is to have the same shared vision for the future. I stayed with this guy for a whole year, and we saw each other just once when we were both on holidays, not working on the same ship. We tried to work together on the same ship, but it was very difficult because we were not working on the same companies. I was working on Marella Cruises when I met him, and I transitioned to working on Royal Caribbean because it was a better job for me, and he didn't manage to get to Royal Caribbean at the time. The reason why it ended was because he was from another part of the world, and it was making it really difficult to even picture ourselves together for the long term. We wanted the same thing. We wanted to stay together. We wanted a serious relationship. We loved each other deeply, but we just figured out that would be way too complicated. We realized that we might not have a future beyond traveling to see each other and maybe working together on cruise ships. There was also huge cultural gaps between him and me, and that's why it didn't work out. However, if you're in a relationship with someone and that you've been with them for a long time, that maybe it's not a 3 weeks thing just like it was for me. Maybe your situation is very different, and you might be wondering what would actually happen if you left for a 6 months contract. Now, if you're watching this wondering whether cruise ships are right for you beyond beyond your relationship, feel free to take the free self-check guide I made specifically for you down below. It will walk you through how much you'd get paid if you were to work on cruise ships, and if this kind of life is even right for you beyond love relationships. And so let me tell you the couple of things that I think are really required for a relationship to work, to survive a 6 months contract. I also want to mention that now I'm in a relationship with someone and I don't want to go on cruise ships, but I'm pretty sure that if I was going on a 6 months contract, it would be really difficult. I think long distance is challenging for any couples in the world, but I do think we would survive it. So here are the couple of things that I think are really, really important to have as a base in your relationship if you want it to last beyond a 6 months contract. I'd say the first thing that's really important is real certainty beyond just feelings and connecting with that person, that this is the right person that you want to settle with for the long term. Of course, we never know, but I think having this real certainty within yourself is extremely important, because you're definitely going to face challenges as you're going to spend months away from that person and maybe not even see them. I'd say the second thing that's really important is to have some history together. In my case, I only had 3 weeks with that person, which was on a cruise ship, so not even a real environment on land where we had been living together and seeing each other's real personalities. So have you been with that person for long enough to know that the 6 months distance from that person is not just going to override the whole time you had together? If you've been together for 2 months, maybe, spending 6 months away can be a little bit harder than if you've been together 5 years. On the other hand, I tend to think that once you meet the right person, it's not 6 months away that will take you away from that person, and it depends how certain you are that this is the right person for you. And the last thing I would say for how much your relationship would last a 6 months contract on a cruise ship would be that you have already faced real challenges and obstacles together and that you overcame them. Because as I said, there's gonna be a lot of challenges, not seeing each other, maybe sometimes misunderstandings, differences in time zones and unavailability to talk to each other. And so if you're able to deal with conflicts and misunderstandings and obstacles already, that will make it much easier to navigate this transition and to survive this distance. The last thing I need to mention is that you can get really tempted when you're on cruise ships. As I said before, there's the emotional factor where you just really want to be with someone who's on the ship, whether it's romantically or close friends, because it's a world apart. And even if you're with someone on land, you tend to want to have this bond together with someone on the ship, otherwise you can feel really lonely. Ships can also be a funny world where people tend to flirt with each other. The way I see it is kind of like TV reality at times. There's also a lot more men than there are women. So my honest take really is that you can stay in the same relationship even if you do 3 years on cruise ships and multiple contracts. But I think what's really important is that you know this is the right person, that you have lived through things with them, and that you love them beyond just seeing them every day and spending time with them, because that's not going to be possible for the next 6 months if you're going on a contract. If right now you're thinking, I would love to get to know more about this path, maybe I could be a cruise ship musician, maybe I could travel the world and save money and get so much experience as a musician on cruise ships, I built something for you specifically. It's a course called How to Become a Cruise Ship Musician, and it teaches you everything you need to know from being a musician on land to actually getting your first contract on board. I've put everything I know from my 4 years of experience on cruise ships, as well as the direct conversations I've had with agencies. And so this course is primarily for solo performers like piano vocalists or guitar vocalists, and partially for duos, trios, or bands who are also interested. The link is in the description if you want to go and have a look. So I definitely think it's worth keeping a relationship and staying together before going on a ship if you feel like this is the right person, at least for the next couple of years. However, if you're not sure and if you feel like this was a short-term thing, maybe it's better to just say honestly to that person that you don't know and to have a real conversation about it. And that doesn't prevent you from keeping in touch with that person, but there's nothing wrong about not knowing what is going to happen to you and to that person and to the relationship for the time that you're away. I tend to think that if it's the right person, you're going to meet them again after the contract and they're going to understand the life choices you are making. Another thing I would say is that that it's really important to make plans for after the contract. If you know that you have a shared future together, moving in together or settling down somewhere or buying a property or whatever it is, or just going on holidays, if you plan things out before you actually go to your 6 months contract, it's going to be much easier to stay in that relationship for the time being because you're going to have something to look forward to. Now, I'd love to know if you are in a relationship and you've been on cruise ships, or if you're thinking of cruise ships and you are in a relationship, or if you're just curious about being here, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. And if you're interested about these kind of topics, being a musician who wants to work on cruise ships or who wants to get gigs on land, feel free to subscribe to the channel and to hit that notification bell just below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.